Oftentimes, people argue about the stableness of the backrooms in the lore. Some people think that it's a solid plane of existence where you can access different levels and different places by just walking directly to them, by opening a door or going through a hallway. Others believe that it's not stable and the entire thing is this glitchy, enigmatic mess that you can fall through or warp through or no-clip through to travel between all the levels. And after thinking about that for a little bit, I came to the conclusion that no one understands how no-clipping actually works. No one gets it, except me. And no one really has an idea of how traveling from level to level scientifically works, and more importantly, I don't think it's ever been properly explained to anybody how to get to the backrooms from reality. So today I decided to make this video explaining all of that, how no-clipping works, how getting from reality to the backrooms works, and how traveling between levels actually works. Because it's not just as easy as saying, oh, you have to just no-clip from level to level. No, it's harder than that, and there's a science behind it. I'm going to talk about it all today. You're welcome. If that sounds cool, stick around for the end of the video. And with all that said, let's go ahead and get into this video, and let's talk about no-clipping, the most misunderstood part of the backrooms. I lost my voice a few days ago, so if it sounds different, I'm just now getting it back. Sorry. So you might have heard me or someone else in the past 5 years or so in this niche talk about no-clipping, and I pretty much mention it every single video because it's usually in the Wikidots lore and in the fandom's lore how you travel between the levels. In those exit sections, it almost always says no clip between blah 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 blah. Every single time it says that. If you've seen a found footage video featuring videos that have been made about the backrooms, you probably see the videos start with somebody falling out of reality and landing in level 0 accidentally, just walking around and then boop, they're here. That entire concept of falling from reality and going between levels via glitching is known colloquially as no-clipping. It also goes by phasing, warping, and null zones, which I'll explain all of that in this video. No-clipping on the surface is a pretty simple concept. Like I said, it's just phasing or glitching through a solid object that you normally could not do that through. Like if I ran at that wall, I would break my nose. But it goes so much deeper than that if you look at it from a scientific perspective, and that is why I truly believe the entire concept is misunderstood. So I'm gonna get into that scientific explanation right now. Hopefully you clicked on this video for science. If you didn't, strap in, because it's gonna get pretty wild. Also, yes, I know, the backrooms is not a real place. In your life, you've probably ran into something or slammed your fist down on a desk and nothing happened. Your body or fist just bounced right off the desk and came back to where you started. It didn't phase through, you didn't glitch through it, because for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much impossible, right? You can't walk through solid matter. Your atoms, your electrons, they simply can't match the exact speed of whatever object you're gonna walk through, unless you look at no-clipping through the theory and lens of quantum mechanics. In this line of thinking, a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling exists. And as far as we know, as the human race, this is the only feasible or real explanation of how phasing or warping or no-clipping through solid objects could exist. Maybe, kinda, not really, but yeah, maybe. Keep in mind that I'm a YouTuber trying to explain moderate levels of quantum physics. In normal beliefs and your thought processes that you probably already have, all objects are made of solid matter, and they're constructed of electrons and protons and atoms and all that stuff. The way these electron particulates interact with each other is usually by bouncing off or repelling each other. Like I said, if I had these scissors and I threw them back there at the wall, they would just bounce off. Or as you can see, it'd be really funny if it just shattered right in my face. It's just bouncing off. In the quantum study beliefs, all these objects are made of wavelengths, and at their smallest base, small little wavelengths make them up. And if these wavelengths ever match the speed of the object they were interacting with, they would pass directly through them. Therefore, quantum tunneling exists. So if the waves of these scissors and the waves of this bottle perfectly matched up, it would just phase right through, or at least a part of it would. I know it's science fiction, but if you've ever seen The Flash, or if you've read the Flash comics, you know that he can phase his whole body or his hand through objects. That's essentially and kind of simply the process that I'm talking about. I recommend checking out Up and Adam's video essay on quantum tunneling if you want to get the actual like science behind it, because she's a scientist and it's a great video. I watched it during research for this one, but I can't explain it all, but I'm just kind of dumbing it down for you guys. You're welcome. But it turns out that if the object or the barrier or whatever it is that you want to no-clip through is thin enough, then you could feasibly and theoretically do it. Like I said, if the wavelengths that make you up match those wavelengths. This quantum tunneling already works at a very microscopic scale. It's been studied here in the real world with fission inside of stars, as well as with radioactive decay, and even inside of some electronic devices. Like I said, as far as we know, that only works right now with very small scale things. But if solid matter is truly made up of very small wavelengths, then it would be pretty similar to how light is. As we know, light and color, they are created and made of waves. And that's how, if this light that I'm using shines through this bottle, you can see light on the other side still shining. That's because the wavelengths pass through this on the other side. We're pretty much taking that exact theory and putting it with solid matter, I think. And this is where no-clipping to the backrooms from our world comes right into play. And beyond that, no-clipping or glitching or phasing or warping through different levels inside of that complex. Now, if you want to look at this fake internet creepypasta through a lens of real science, it instantly starts to fall apart, right? It's not real. Because the odds of someone falling directly through their floor and ending up in an alternate reality is pretty much zero. It's like 1 in a bajillion chance. Because you glitching into the back rooms or no-clipping into them would have to rely on a number of factors lining up perfectly. All these things would have to happen at the exact same time, and you have to be in the exact same spot for the chance to even occur. Good thing we are not looking at this through a sense of realness, because this is an internet creepypasta. But in the Backrooms fandom, I truly believe most people get it wrong, and they misunderstand no-clipping, especially as it relates to getting from the Earth to this backrooms place. Because this situation of you falling into the backrooms is something that you cannot plan for. I think Kane Pixels does a pretty good job of showing that in his first found footage. You cannot replicate this, you cannot try to make it happen more likely, you cannot make a situation up or kind of fabricate a situation. It is completely random, and you would have no choice in the matter. It's essentially all happenstance, and that right there is the true horror to me. Because against all of these odds, and against all of the definable luck that exists in this world, you fell through a barrier in reality that led you to this infinite empty hellscape that you're trapped in. It's barren of life as you know it, and it only exists in a place that we have no idea. And for all intents and purposes, you are trapped in this place that you glitched into, forced to explore or die of starvation. One of the two. So no-clipping into the backrooms is not something that simply happens. You don't just do it. You cannot pin it down. You cannot guess it. The government can't tap into it. And I think people really can't cope with that because everybody likes to explain things or make sense of them. You can't. This is truly something, this no-clipping, phasing, glitching out of the Earth into this backrooms complex would be such a rare phenomenon that it would be pretty much impossible. It's like when you get on a plane, you never expect it to crash until it does, right? Wow, that was pretty morbid. Sorry, guys. And that's just getting from reality to the backrooms. That is the initial no-clip, phase, warp, whatever you want to call it. You would have to be one of the most unlucky souls of all time to fall victim to quantum tunneling and have your waves match up with the ground's waves, which are already matched up with the alternate reality's waves, and it would just be a whole slew of unlucky mistakes. But let's say it all works out. Let's say that you are walking around and you fall directly through this ground here, and now you're in the back rooms. As we know from pretty much everything, found footages, lore, whatever, Level 0 is not the only place in the backrooms that you can get to from a physical standpoint. And again, this is where many people get things wrong or theories divulge into different beliefs. Some people believe that all of the backrooms levels are connected already to each other, and they're like a giant wad of paper that have been crumbled up. So if I walked down a level 0 hallway, I would eventually find another hallway that would lead directly to level 1. And then if I walked down another hallway there, I would eventually get to level 2 and 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. Other people believe that the Backrooms is this glitchy, unstable mess that you can kind of just no-clip or phase through any structure at all that you want to. And it's up to you when that happens. Like I said, neither are fully true or fully false. Let me explain. Think of null zones as open doors to different levels, yet the hallway between the two doors is constantly fluctuating and shifting. So you have to hope that it's lined up perfectly when you go through that door, that null zone, because if you don't, you could get sent off kilter or get stuck between them. There are an infinite number of places in this complex that you can explore. There are rooms and hallways full of amalgamated geometry, Euclidean effects, and all of these strange happenings that cannot be rationalized. So I really want to explain how I believe no-clipping, phasing, how that actually works inside the Backrooms once you're already here. So how do you get from level to level inside of the Backrooms? We're going to use the exact same theory that we did of how you get to the Backrooms from reality, and that is the quantum tunneling theory. You see, on Earth, you have that really, really low chance of quantum tunneling into the Backrooms, and that's because the reality and the geometry of our existence here on this planet is pretty solid. It's physically constrained. But once you're in the alternate reality that the Backrooms is, it is very not constrained and very not solid. Everything here is full of electromagnetic insufficiencies and non-Euclidean geometry and places that do not physically have a good makeup. For all intents and purposes, this reality of the Backrooms is not stable. Whereas on Earth, there are flat shapes, flat lines, and things like that, and 2 and 3 dimensions, and things are trustworthy. That is not the case here. Flat lines and things do not exist, and you can't trust what your own eyes see. However, this does not happen all over the Backrooms and its levels. These entire spaces and every single thing about them, all of them are not constantly warping and glitching. It does occur in some random and seemingly off-putting locations. You might go days walking through a different level where nothing is glitched, where nothing is messed up. And that's because quantum tunneling is still going to be rare, even though it's more common here in the Backrooms. These areas where you can glitch through the physical levels and get from place to place are what's called null zones. Now, null zones were prevalently shown in the Kane Pixels found footage series here on YouTube, but null zones are also used outside of the Kane Pixels lore and here on the Wikidot and the fandom as well. They might just not be called that. You see, null zones are those specific glitchy areas where the reality and the Euclidean geometry are not stable. They're not solid like they are on Earth. These specific zones are what you need to look for if you want to travel between levels together. These areas not only can get people and other things like whatever else is here, creatures or whatever, from place to place, they can also transmit sounds and colors. So if you walk past the null zone, you might hear what's on the other side. And these things are important because you can judge if you want to go through a null zone by what you hear and what you vaguely see. It's not really a portal, it's just an inconsistency, and that's what you have to look out for. In the first episode of Kane Pixels' found footage series, he linked the secret video in the description below like he usually does, and if you click that link, you'll get this video, which is pretty much just a weird slideshow with creepy, unsettling music and still shots from the government's attempt to get to the Backrooms. And as you can see here at this exact mark is the null zone, or a null zone, in level 0. It's outlined in red, and this is a fantastic example of how a null zone would work. As it says there on the screen, with the caption, due to the discrepancy between panel 325 and 334, a small magnetic field is created. These discrepancies, these inconsistencies, these tiles that you can phase through are the null zones. And this is how quantum tunneling works in the Backrooms. Null zones themselves are defined by their uncanny appearance. Usually they're a lighter color or a less textured place, and they definitely look out of the ordinary. They kind of stick out. Whether they're slightly glitching or slightly warping, it all depends. But these areas areas, despite common beliefs, they are extremely, extremely rare, and they almost never appear. It's not like you can just teleport and phase between levels at will, right? You're not Quicksilver, you're not the Flash, you're not Nightcrawler from the X-Men. You can't just blip out of existence and end up somewhere else. They're pretty much just a byproduct of the Backrooms' quantum instability. And as it relates to the lore, null zones seemingly have connections to specific places, not random ones. For example here, you never hear of somebody being in level 0 and then phasing through a null zone and ending up in the pools. That doesn't happen. There's an order to things, even amidst all this chaos. This means that there are limits to quantum tunneling, and there's this book of rules. We just don't know how to read the rules yet. Phasing through null zones, like ones in level 0, will likely lead you directly to the next physical location that null zone is connected to. Similarly to how the null zone that got you from reality to the backrooms, how that worked, the null zones in level 0 are going to take you from level 0 to level 1, and so on and so forth. There are some null zones that connect and kind of skip over places, and those get more common the further down the line you get, and the more unstable the entire complex gets. However, there's no way to map these out, and there's no way to say or vouch for their consistency. So how do you actually do it? You know what to look for now in the null zones, right? They're there, slightly out of place areas, and you can try to phase through them, but how do you genuinely do it? Phasing, no-clipping, warping, it's simple, but it's extremely dangerous. You should never attempt it willy-nilly, and it could lead to your utter dismemberment from a molecular level. But I guess since you're trapped in the backrooms, you really have nothing else to lose. If you see what you think to be a null zone, you simply have to run towards it and jump through it. If this tunnel, this quantum instability, is functioning and fluctuating correctly, it'll send you to where it's connected to. If the area that you think is a null zone is not a null zone, then you just look like an idiot and you just ran into a wall and probably broke your nose. So be sure it's a null zone before you try. I said earlier, phasing also is important when it relates to sounds, because if you find a null zone and you want to go through it, but you hear weird noises on the other side, like mechanical noises or some kind of thing that scares you, you shouldn't go through it, right? So you pretty much have very little choice as to where these quantum tunnels take you. These tunnels are more common to appear in the backrooms through the null zones, but it's not like you can just choose where you go. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, the entire purpose of me making this was due to all the misconceptions that I've heard or seen and encountered throughout my years, I guess, of doing backrooms and liminal space content. Some people think that you can just teleport directly through any level you want to, and even sometimes I've seen the lore it has to do that way because there's no other explanation for it. Obviously, none of this actually matters because it's an internet creepypasta, but I think that it's definitely a misconception that you can just bleep out wherever you want to. You have to follow the backrooms rules, and that's for your own detriment, because that doesn't care about you. It's not a safe place. You're probably going to die there. Null zones using quantum tunneling are the only way in which you can transfer yourself between levels in the backrooms. Like I said, it's dangerous, it's uncommon, yet more common than in real life, and each time you do it, it's a risk that you're having to take. This is why it is nearly impossible to phase, glitch, warp, no-clip back to reality once you've done it to get into the backrooms. Because imagine how lucky you'd have to be, or I guess unlucky. You already fell into the backrooms, which is a quintillionth impossibility, and then you traveled through different levels. It's extremely unlikely that you'll find another quantum tunnel leading back to reality. And that's why the concept in general is so scary. The backrooms is not a fun little escapade into liminal spaces. The backrooms is a hellish expanse of emptiness and death and desolation. And these null zones are responsible for accessing that hellish location. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've never made one like this. This is kind of more of a scientific MatPat deep dive style thing. So if you really enjoyed it, leave a like. I'd love to do more on different concepts. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay until the end of the video. You're real for that. I can't wait to show you what I got next. Like I said, the Brooklyn channel's content gonna keep getting better, gonna keep getting more unique. I have so many things planned, and I really hope you enjoy everything that's coming out. And if you don't, tell me about it. I want to make videos for you guys. If you somehow want more videos from me, you can click the link in the description. It'll take you to my third channel, Spoogly. That channel I upload about twice a month on. I upload deep dive, documentary style videos that are on true crime, internet horror, weird things that I find interesting. It's pretty much like my passion project channel. Really, it's doing so well. Thank you all for that. I love and appreciate y'all for that so much. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video on any of my channels, and hope you had a great day. Tell somebody you love them. Life's too short not to. And I'm gonna go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I'm hungry. So I'll see you later.